What's up everybody, back with some Rise of Kittens idle RPG, and in this video I'm going to be going over some of the go-to heroes to aim for that will not only fast track your early game progression, but set you up to be able to gather resources to maximize those specific events. I will also be throwing in some tips to avoid mistakes I made on my first account. Let's get it. The first thing I would suggest is to target a specific hero to be your main DPS carry. On my first account, I went with King Arthur since the game was just throwing copies at me. However, I found he falls off faster than I would have liked. One of the reasons is if you look at his skill kit, it's all based off critting. So naturally, you'll be wanting to build him like that. So aiming for, say, a crit focused seal, like say crit plus crit damage. But the problem is in his skill kit, he has no survivability, so as you progress through Tower, campaign is not so much of an issue because it's locked behind your account level, you'll most likely always be overpowered, but in Tower, he just is going to start dying too fast. He is still great for bosses such as your guild boss, but you want to run him with other crit focused heroes because of this deterrence effect. When it gets applied to the enemy or enemies, when they are critted, it amps the damage. I would suggest going with Lubu, I don't know how to pronounce the name, for a better progression-based hero. Lubu's damage comes from burns, which scales off his HP, so you can build him tanky focusing that HP stat and other defensive traits like say block, and still have him output high AoE damage. He also steals enemies' attacks, so naturally as you progress to high level enemies, this benefits more. In his skill kit, he has sustain with Unrivaled. When he gets controlled, he gets self-healing. If unlucky with his copies, there's nothing wrong building up other heroes, just don't take them past 10 stars like I did, so you can feed them later to be a better hero, as that is the max stars for food in the Ascension system. For example, to take my Lobu to 12 stars, I need any 10-star hero as food. In these types of games, I like going with a main DPS carry and a secondary to finish off any enemies that may still be alive after. A lineup I aim for in these types of games is 1 to 2 DPS, that would be like I mentioned earlier, Lobu / King Arthur, or for a more popular nuke pairing, Lobu with Nobu, as he also adds burn / bleed damage. But the main attraction here is he can detonate every one of those debuff stacks. Lobos, Lobos, whatever that hero's name is, skills and normal attack have multi-target enemy burns. This is just essentially free damage. It really depends how your RNG goes, since as a free-to-play, for example, if you don't want to get stuck for ages, you can build up temporary heroes until you obtain more copies. Then I would go with probably around 1 tank, which the choice for many is going to be Caesar, as his sole purpose is that taunt. He's simply there to be a damage sponge, taking the attention off your DPS and supports. He has self-healing off his basic attacks, and he also has a neat effect where he can execute the enemy if under 7% HP instantly. So even though he's not a DPS, as a tank, he's still going to be very helpful in that regard. Another popular choice is QAQ, probably saying that wrong, which I am building up on my newest account. Now this hero doesn't have taunt, but he has an AoE stun and does decent damage himself because stun targets take an additional 31.5% and has a chance to basically do counter damage. So although his survivability is nowhere near Caesar's, I would treat this hero more like an off tank. Then I would go with 2 support heroes where you actually have a few choices here. The main one for me is the go-to for the Immortal faction, one of the 2 rare ones, so Immortal and Chaos, and then aim for, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name, so I'm just going to say aim for the old man with the floating juicy peaches. The reason is he's a crazy good buffer where you can give attack, speed, increase healing received, and a chance to remove CC with an AoE basic attack heal. His passive when he dies can be used to try and cheese stages you're stuck on, meaning like place him in the front so he gets killed quickly, and then you get the heal for 5 turns. Another choice, I'm also not going to bother trying to pronounce this name, but this hero is really good to help your main DPS carry. Since your main DPS carry is what most will focus, if that hero dies you lose, so this is nice protection. Also does a basic attack AoE heal similar to the old man with the peaches, and the passive Surprise Tactics, which is a nice team buff at the start of each turn. However, it is % luck based as well as a buff chance upon death. And then the other choice I've been using and like is Wukong, I think that's how you say it, helps boost your team's damage with the weakness debuff. The random energy is helpful, and like the previous 2 heroes mentioned, basic attack is an AoE heal, but also reduces enemies' armor. Instead of having a buff or heal upon death, it's an AoE stun when below 50%, but this can only be triggered once per battle. For me, it depends on your setup, but my preference would be Gramps with the peaches and then this hero right here. The last spot is going to be your choice. If you feel you're dying too easily, throw in another support or tank. If you feel you're lacking damage still, throw in another DPS. Other DPS options can be Alexander, very solid damage here, has some attack reduction, but main attraction here is the camp debuff. Does a lot of damage at the end of each turn, or it's going to be the limited time hero which becomes available on day 14 of your server, the Immortal Faction Sun Wukong. Seriously, this is a broken hero. I got him on my first account, just one copy, because this event is pay to win. The only way to gain summons is to either A, buy packs with money, or use gold, aka diamonds, gems, whatever you want to call it, to buy the gold packs, but they're limited in how much you can get. Now, I forgot how much all of these cost, but just remember I am free to play, so it's possible, but I think this was most likely over 30,000 gold to buy everything. This will give you 60 summons. The Sun Wukong Pity is 40, so this will guarantee you at least one copy. With just one copy, he still does absurd damage, but I can easily see if you're going to be spending money, wait for this event on day 14, spend what you need to get him to at least 10 stars. Like for $30 my currency, you can get 30 summons plus one copy, so that's nearly 2 copies right there if you have to go to pity, and then you can get other packs here and literally win the game. But there are some screenshots of fights I did, and you can just see the comparison here. 5 stars to my 11-star Lobu, who is basically everyone's main DPS carry choice until Sun Wukong. The damage comparison is ridiculous. Looking over his skills, you can see his multipliers are crazy, the skill kit is crazy. He's definitely broken, but he is going to be a pay-to-win hero. The next video, clickable at the end of this one, I'm going to go over ways to help you target focus that main DPS carry choice of yours, outside of course Sun Wukong, plus I'll also be giving some more tips for progression. Leave a comment down below any other heroes or kitty cats you are using that you think deserve a shout out. And as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one.